yet another episode of Dawdle.live Podcast. And today we have got a very special guest. His name is Abhishek. And, Abhishek has over 2 decades of experience in the industry. And we've got very interesting set of topics for him. But before we start, we go to the topics. Would love to understand from you, Abhishek, your journey so far to give a good context to our audience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rishi. I'll call you Rishi. I'll not call you even perfect Rishikesh.
Absolutely. Or आपको सही
Rishikesh
follow.
reminds me of a beautiful place in Uttarakhand. It's a fantastic place to go and do some outing. But thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm glad to be part of this discussion. My journey, more than 2 decades, right, close to 21 years into IT industry, has been a roller coaster, ride altogether. From the day I got placed as an intern through the college into my first organization, which always is a special to everyone's heart, right? And I was placed at the 13th organization after having a rejection for 12 of the previous. Okay, so you can also imagine the kind of frustration being creeping up while not being getting placed in first 12 organizations. And then but it was a fantastic. Everyone has a day. God has planned everything for everyone, maybe a bit earlier, a bit later on, but God has planned for everyone. Okay, so I think one of the lessons which I learned over my 21 years is never get you know I would say demotivated for the things that is coming, not coming to you, or for the things that you are facing failures on. If one door closes, I have 100% sure there is a better door, and there is a second door that will definitely open to. When that get opened is a bit, right. It could be early, it could be a bit late, it could be mid of 2 3 months, 1 year, 2 years, but it will definitely get open. So I started my career as a mainframe developer in 2005, right? And then I have done numerous roles within my 21 years of experience. So into IT industry, I did the role of a system analyst, the role of a module lead, a technology lead, project manager, a delivery manager, program manager, right? And then a program head. Now I'm doing the role of a senior director engineering within Coforge. So that's my current organization. That's my journey for 21 years and the kind of roles that I've played. In terms of the tech stack, as I did 2005, it was all mainframes, black screens, black and white screens. And then I was with all those trained into mainframes. I was suddenly thrown into Java. Java is what we did into the college life. Uske baad we didn't do anything. Then into .NET, where I never had a single line of code being written. Okay. And seeing that my manager told, okay, you have picked up very good .NET. Let's do ETL side of it, right? Informatica and Ab initio. Never did that, okay, but sat with the developers, learned through the processes how it works, and scaled up there. Then came the era of AWS and cloud, right? I've been mostly into banking, financial services from a product, mostly into their product side of it, but never had a chance to do payments. So I just allowed myself to fall into the well of payments and the cloud ecosystem as well, as a part of the Amazon journey that I did. A fantastic journey, humongous learnings, right? And across the marketplaces, so not in India, but into emerging countries like Mexico, Italy, Spain, Germany, France, and Egypt, part of it. So I have been majorly, leading out large transformation programs, okay, across geographies. If I talk about specific countries, it is US, UK, right? I've done larger transformation programs into the Denmark area, Scandinavia, and then currently I'm leading customers into the North America side of it, in North America and Poland side of it. So that's has been my journey. Quite challenging, learning. I've faced a lot of failures, but learned from those failures. Right, and let's take that. I always take that, as a lesson, as something which is absolutely required for your betterment. Okay, makes you a better person every time you fail. So that has been my journey.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking us through the journey so far. And on this only, we have the first topic or the question
Yeah.
for you is that you have built your career moving through very different environments. Would love to, if you could shed some light on some of the hardest moments in your early engineering years that shaped how you think about leadership today.
Okay. So foremost thing is you being the leader, you're always the pivot of how you drive the things, right? You always become the role model for the people, right? Because that's how the people mindset is, correct? So they some people really hesitate to take a first step to perform things, right? But when they see their peers doing that, they get that motivation to take one step ahead and to perform the things. Okay. Now, early in my engineering years, one of the hardest moment I can remember is when I was leading one of the very critical application into the banking system, right? We were under intense deadlines, right? And I made a mistake of, I would say, assuming that working hard would solve everything, which we usually do.
Yes.
But I didn't communicate enough with the cross-functional teams that existed at that point of time. And as a part of this, we missed out a big integration that caused a major delay into the overall program delivery. A specific point, and that was the first failure for me. Right at that specific point, it felt like a personal failure. Why it has felt like a personal failure? Because I put in long hours to get the things, crossing the borderline, but the outcome wasn't there. Okay, it came as a failure rather than a success. Okay, so what changed my approach after that failure was, I would say, was realizing that leadership isn't about, I would say, individual heroics. Okay, right, being the boss of own mind and trying to prove everything is what I can do, right? It's all about you creating clarity, first thing, building trust, second thing, and enabling collaboration, which is very, very critical. Okay, for any sort of programs, any short, be it be small size, mid size, complex, larger transformation programs running over years and years. So I think these are the three critical elements for any person to be success, as well as any program to be success. Okay. Now after that experience, right, I started focusing on three pillars that I created. Okay, the first one is proactive communication, okay, which is very, very important and critical. So making sure that everyone understands what that program is, what is the business objective that we are achieving out that program, and everybody understands what are the dependencies, right, internal, external, right, and what business value or the customer delight that we are going to achieve out of that delivery, what customer experience we are trying to make seamless, so that we help our customers in increasing their revenue as well as their customer base over a period of time. The second very important critical aspect in which I still continue is, rather than driving everything by me, empowering the team. Okay, so you empower the team to take the decision, you empower the team to take the accountability, and then you will see the things turning out drastically for you. So instead of trying solve everything myself, I started delegating things to the people, giving them more responsibility and accountable for the things they do. And one very, very interesting, probably people hesitate to do, and they still hesitate to do, which I don't do. Right, owning mistakes openly, right? If you have made a mistake, right, be
Yes.
very candid and open to tell, hey boss, I have made a mistake,
Yes.
right? And this is how we are going to solve it as a team, right? It could be an individual mistake within entire of your org or the program that you're doing, or it could be a collective team mistake as well, and that happens across the project life cycle. Okay, so you should be very candid and open in accepting that this is a mistake he or she or I have created, correct? And that's how we are going to rectify it over a period of time, and not also repeat it, not make it a and that's how the success comes in. So overall, if you talk about this specific scenario, Rishikesh, it taught me a very important lesson, right? It taught me that leadership is less about technical depth, right? And it's more about orchestrating people and process forward for a shared goal, right? For a business shared goal. Okay. So that particular failure was an eye opener for me. Okay. And it taught me a lot of lessons which I still carry on in my current professional journey.
It was so nicely explained that, and it's also, it's such nice to, see you explain it so well, because I've seen very few people kind of explain their failures and the learning so well.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. Yeah.
And this means that you do a lot of root cause analysis.
I do. So see, I whatever things goes wrong at my end, right? I even in today's world, right, to my VPs, to my senior VPs, okay. If I have made a mistake, I'll openly go and commit it out. Okay. See that brings out another factor, right? What that factor is, it brings out your leadership confidence in you.
Mm.
Correct? You being open, transparent, right? Not hiding things, which would probably put them in a situation where they would not be in a position to take the correct decision for any program or product, or the business as a whole. So that's very important. Yeah.
Abhishek, you have led technology initiatives in banking, global
Yeah.
delivery, and enterprise tech. So I've removed payments because you told in your.
Okay. Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what are the deepest engineering challenges that keep on repeating across all these sectors?
Okay. See, whether you take any sort of programs, smaller, medium, larger transformation programs across any business domain, right? Be it be payments, banking, insurance, manufacturing, healthcare, research, whatever it is, right? One recurring challenge, and which is common across all this type of programs, okay? And then be it be, operation led program, be it be application development program, be it be maintenance programs, and anything you can think of in this world where the software IT industry
Yes.
operates into, right? One recurring challenge is, and that's the expectation of every customer, that you build a scaling system which ensures what it ensures: reliability, okay? It ensures availability,
And
okay?
security.
And security, right? Under extreme load, right? So that's very important. So whatever load comes in,
Mm,
okay, you are prepared. Your application, your product is prepared to scale to that load,
mm,
right? And make that customer journey seamless. It should not happen that if I have a product, I have a cash digital product,
mm,
and people go and do a shopping on that, right? They go to the two step,
mm.
and they are never able to make the payment, correct?
Yes.
So that's an absolutely bad customer experience, okay? So that is very important. So scaling systems, reliability, ability with the extreme load, that's I think, that's a very very common, challenge across any sort of programs that you run, okay? Now the reason being, you take any system, right? You take insurance, you take banking, you take B2B, correct, e-commerce, right? You process millions and millions of transactions in seconds. So that's where your system has to be resilient. There should not be a single drop of any financial transactions across the customer journey. Now, but it has its own drawbacks, okay? I was in a situation where our customer wanted that the system should be able to handle 10x of the traffic growth. So currently it was just handling 2x 3x part of it, but during the peak period or during the sale, it should be able to handle the 10x growth. Now from x to 10x, which is five times of what, and then you really need to think about how you need to make your system resilience, okay? And that also they wanted not compromising on any sort of compliance or security, right? Everything should be intact. My system should be up and running, no downtime. I should get 10x my revenue. I should get 10x my customers, and all those expectations, high expectations, where sometimes you fail to meet, sometimes you meet partially, sometimes you 90% meet it. But I haven't made, to be honest, committing it, I've never made 100% of that. You cannot do that, okay? Now, the other challenge that comes in all those scenario is, the complexity. Yeah, it's not just the complexity of that specific standalone application or the product. It's the complexity of how it is integrating with multiple different other systems, right?
Mm.
The cohesiveness of your product being integrated with the other products which are external to your systems, okay? And in this transaction or communication between inter product or inter systems, right, you also have regulatory requirements to fit in, right? You have to ensure that PIP is sensitive data is not leaked out. You have to ensure that if you are working in the U side of it, your GDPR rules are implemented. If you are in US, you have to make sure that your data centers are secure, moving out anything out of your data centers, and all those things you have to take care. Okay, so I would say, right, how I approached this was basically a four stage, a four stage, I would say four stage execution, right? So where you have such a complex system to develop, to put into production, and also maintain those systems. I always introduced what is called in software world as an event driven architecture.
Yes.
Okay. So where you are decoupling services and you are creating microservices so that every service is in a standalone, and if something goes wrong, you know where which service is going wrong and where you have to put a, put a quick fix. I've worked on the monolithic systems, right? Created this event driven architecture, decoupled the services part of it. The other, important technical aspect, I would say, is implement what is called as idempotent APIs. Right, is very technical part of it. Now, what does it this is in a scenario where a system failure happens, right? So it is processing a particular record, but for some reason the record got half processed and some system failure happened, and the entire of the record didn't get processed. Okay, so this sort of API mechanism helps you to implement retry mechanisms. Okay, so that you can reprocess that specific transition in your entire customer journey. Okay, then there are other software techniques or design patterns, solid principles you need to implement. You can implement circuit breakers, you can implement back pressure mechanisms to prevent overloading. You can do a load balancing to distribute the loading part of it. And the last, very very important, is I always run chaos engineering. Have you heard about chaos engineering? Right. So chaos engineering is something, yeah, which you do to validate the resilience of your system. Okay, be it your system, be it your application, be it your you know be it your product, whatever it is, right? How resilient your system is in a specific environment at a specific peak, right? And in terms of how resilient your system is in front of fraudulent attacks. Okay, like I was having an application, right? And the system, it was so resilient that I used to have a lot of attackers sitting in Indonesia and trying to forge payments using my cash digital products. Okay, so that sort of security mechanism. Okay, it could be an individual security mechanism, access to those applications, or a group security mechanism implemented for your product part of it. Everything all taken into account, right? At the end of the full stop, correct? So what you need to ensure that you have build a scalable system, right? Which is equipped, or which can handle peak loads, okay, without any failures. And during all those things, right, the biggest lesson which I learned is, right, engineering challenges will come and go. Those will keep on repeating one or the other. You may have similar engineering challenges coming in, you may have different engineering challenges coming in, because uh, because I would say they're rooted in the trade-offs. Okay, so but we need to make the trade-offs, right? Where we need to make the trade-offs. Okay, we need to make the trade-offs: performance versus reliability. Sorry guys, I'm having cold. The performance uh, versus reliability. Then you have to make a trade-off between speed versus safety. Okay, you have to make a trade-off between quantity versus quality. Yes. Correct. So the key is designing for failure. Okay, the key is not designing for perfection. Okay, so we should all be prepared for failure rather than trying to achieve perfection, which has been my, I mean, tagline across, and which I do it currently as well. So that has been, I think that was the deep engineering challenges I faced across, and then it covers how you also modernize your large technology assets, okay, estates, right? And let me tell you about one thing: modernization. If you talk about, transformation, if you talk about, right, it's less about technology and it's more about
Mindset.
orchestration. When you talk about orchestration, it's more about governance, it's more about risk management, okay? It's more about stakeholder alignment. Okay. So if you have a strong governance in place, if
Yes.
you are doing a very strong risk management, if you are aligned to your stakeholders, if you are aligned to your sponsors, right? Technology is just one very, very small aspect of delivering anything. Okay. But delivery and taking encircling all these, orchestrations are very, very critical, for any program to success. Okay, so that people will tell, no, I want my program to be on budget, on time, right? No failures on the milestones and all these things. And, chasing all these things, you really, really forget to put in on a strong governance. Okay. You don't, really keep your stakeholders updated in terms of how you're delivering, what you're delivering, right? What challenges you're facing. And they someday will come out at the end of the day, boss, you didn't tell me, I didn't tell you to deliver this. Now, why that come? Because you didn't keep them informed, correct? So and that's a very common scenario that happens. Okay. So that has been, I think, all has been a learning phase. Okay. Learned a lot out of this, out of failures, but I've taken lessons out of those. And I think everyone should take that as the only mantra in life, that failures are not, gateway to uh, demotivations. Okay, failures are gateway to motivations, to prove that you have learned from those failures and that you have, taken steps towards the success of yours.
We will kind of move a bit towards
Yeah.
digital payments and the emerging markets.
Okay. Okay.
So when building the digital payment products, especially for the emerging markets, what are the most underestimated challenges that teams usually overlook?
Okay. So I have a very live example of this. I was when I joined Amazon, I was given one of the cash digital products, which was not being good in US because people don't prefer to go to physical stores, scan the barcode, make the payment, and then collect the box, right? Or get the shipments of the box. It's more credit, debit card oriented rather than being physically present into a part of it. Okay. Now, every time you build a mobile payments systems, be in any marketplace. It's not just emerging markets, but any developed marketplaces as well. Emerging markets has its own challenges because they are more cash concentrated. Okay. And there are more regulations within that because when you have more of the cash flowing around, you have a lot of other factors coming in, like AIML part of it and money laundering part of it, and everything comes in. And there is a lot of theft as well that happens. And specifically, working for one of the emerging countries like Mexico, where the crime rate is to the highest, right? So I think we take that assumption that smartphone penetration and internet connectivity, those are the two things, right, are sufficient enough for a seamless mobile based application to be launched into any of the emerging countries. I have a smartphone. Okay, I can open an app. Do I have internet connectivity? I can open it, but that's not the case. Okay, and that's where you have to look from a perspective of how we are encapsulating the entire of the customer journey into your product life cycle. Okay, so that's very, very important. Now, during this emerging countries and launching this cash digital products, and where you have what I would say 93% of the population using mobile apps than desktop and everything. So it was more of how do we make this customer journey smoother, friction free payment systems, okay, for across the border, okay, not only emerging countries, but anything which is to be sent out to US or UK or this congeneric part of it. Okay, so you have to make sure you have a network reliability, and I would say, what I would say, and that most of the customers, so 90-95% of the customer don't face any downtime for your application that you are doing. Now, in order to achieve this, it's not an easy task. Okay, it's a humongous task. Okay, to be very open and transparent. And the design that we are building this applications or the product, it has to be a very thoughtful process, right? Take into consideration every small element, every small aspect of that product, and not only that, right? The section of the customer that you're going to serve, the behavioral aspect of the customer that you're going to serve. Okay. Right. You have to look at, how they look at your product, right? What kind of expenditure behavior they have, right? What sort of products they buy, what's their mindset part of it. And then you go and target a specific set of customers, a specific set of area, and that's how you develop your first MVP, and then keep on building on top of your base product that is launched. Okay, so yeah, any payment system you think about, right? So it has to make sure that till the time you're connected to an internet, right, you have a seamless transaction process that goes on. But you have to ensure that you have also implemented a very strong and resilient now offline transaction queuing mechanism. Say, for example, a customer is making a payment, correct? He's halfway through, he lost his internet.
Yes.
What is a good customer experience is the moment he comes online, you don't have to start from stage zero again, right? He starts from the place where he has left it out. That's how, what is called as offline transaction queuing, so that payments can be done without connectivity availability as well, or disruption of the internet that happens. Okay, the last point is how you're making your customer onboarding seamless to these payment systems, right? I would never go and buy something on an app which has 10 steps of onboarding process for me, right? Rather, I'll go and buy something from an app which gives me all the services, where I just need to give my phone number, my email address, right, and then get an OTP and then move ahead, right? Why should I give my KYC and all those stuffs? And that's the thing. Okay. Now take all this into consideration. Make sure that you're the only target, right, from a product development perspective is the product adoption. Now, if you don't have customers using the product, right, there's no point in having that product, right? You have use 2-3 millions in developing the product. If you have just 10K, 20K customers, then you'll not even be able to maintain that product, right? Because you'll not get the revenue generation out of the product. Okay. And then having said that, right, having implemented an architecture which is very scalable, reliable, we have achieved more than 40% success rates. Okay, around more than 95% of the conversion rate of the customers, which we call as NTA, which is new to Amazon. Which means you as a new customer, you just go and log in for the first time, but I'm not sure whether you're going to come back to Amazon to buy or not. So that's getting you converted to a regular customer, because that becomes a regular source of revenue for any organization, for any product that goes in. Okay. In all this journey, Rishikesh, right, there are infrastructure limitations,
Yes.
correct? Which is very true in any sort of projects that you execute. Infrastructure limitations and the user habitats, user behavior are very, very critical, right, along with the technology, right? So that is very important. Technology has its role to play at every stage of your product life cycle, every stage of your software development life cycle, but you have to ensure that you design for resilience. And what most important matters is the simplicity, right? Today, why would somebody like to go into Amazon? Phone number, yeah, add it, you pay your electricity bill, you pay your water bill, you pay your mobile bill, you pay your land bill, you pay your DTH bill, all at one place, right? So that's how convenience happens for a customer, right? Instead of looking out having fancy features, fancy UIs, where customer is still where you have a bad customer experience, right? One should look at how you can simplify those and have simplified features rather than complicated features. So that's being, I would say, that's how we try to underestimate the challenges into the emerging markets. Okay. Yes. So and that's a very real example I've lived. Yes. While developing products into Mexico and Italy and Spain, and of course, getting the huge lot of customer complaints when we lost the first MVP. So that's being a good process. Thank you for that question.
Think when we talk about payments, it requires speed, reliability, fraud control, and uptime. And you have already
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah,
all these
yeah,
pointers. So, what has been the toughest technical trade off you have personally had to make while building or launching a payments product?
That's a very good question, and it's very tricky as well. Let me tell you that. Okay, and within this whole eco space of the payment system, right? Be any kind of payments that you launch on. Okay, there is a critical decision that you need to make. Right, you need to make a decision whether you want speed or you want, right, either you want a very strong fraud resilient product application, or you want to just be on the rush, sit on the cheta goda. You have to sip the features, sip it out. What happens, we'll see after the production it goes on. Okay, and fraud, making a fraud a resilient system is equally difficult. Okay, and but if you are able to, I think that will be the biggest achievement for anyone. Okay, so how you are preventing your application from getting brute forcing. Okay, which is external attackers and doing your manipulations, trying to get your transactional data, PIP data, credit card data, right, trying to manipulate and enter into a system part of it. Okay, now whether speed or fraud, I would say these are two imperfect options.
Hmm.
Okay, so there could be two options, right? Two imperfect options. You have option A, which means faster transactions with minimal fraud checks. Cut, 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 cut. What happens, we'll see in production, right? Then option B is you have a strong fraud controls implemented, right, but slower user experience, right? So that are two options part of it, right? Now both the options in itself are not 100%, right? You cannot have, right? You cannot go with option A, you cannot go with option B. So you have to choose an intermediate path where you can still have that speed in place with a strong fraud, system being implemented. So we usually, and I'm sure it happens in the other organization as well. We always go for an hybrid approach. That's the mindset, right? You don't do a waterfall, you don't do an agile, we go for an hybrid. Okay. So mix of the waterfall and agile, and we call it as a hybrid delivery model that we follow. Okay. So implement implement something which is known as a real-time lightweight checks within the software industry for common fraud patterns that has existed, and based on that fraud pattern behavior, you can predict that similar sort of fraud patterns would occur in future, and that's how you make your system resilient to comply to that fraud patterns of it. Don't put in heavy analytics within your systems. Okay, too many analytics will make your brain go out of your brain. Okay, so it will completely puzzle out your own brain before you really think, was this the correct thing that I was doing it out. Okay, and the third largest is build risk based routing, right, which means wherever you have a very high risk transition. Okay, very when I talk about volume, it's not the number of transactions I'm talking about, but volume in terms of the monitoring. Okay. If it is a bigger transaction, ensure that you have put in stricter checks. Okay. And those deeper checks get triggered for validation on such transactions. Okay. Now, if you specifically talk about payments, correct? And within payments, the trade off in payments are balancing, I would say, two important things, which is trust and convenience. Okay. Perfect security at the cost of usability is viable, is not viable. Sometimes is viable, sometimes is not viable. And at any point of time, right, you might not achieve 100% security, right? If you are going to achieve, you have built something which Elon Musk would love to acquire it out. Okay. Or maybe Microsoft or anyone else, right, would love to acquire it off. So that has been my toughest challenges, within specific to emerging markets, and within specific to payments, where it's always have to be a very real time transaction processing, right? Any drop of, I have seen, I people thought people talk about $1 or $2 is not a big amount, right? My $0.1 drop has made me to write COE, which is correction of errors, and my $0.1 has resulted in a 7 error in production. Okay, and that too also just for one customer. Okay, and that customer has went back and writing into all the social media platforms that I have lost my $0.1. Then I used to my boss, you should have come to me, I would have given you like that as an account balance, and then getting that into social media and everything. But that's how the customer behavior is. Okay, I think they're very sensitive in terms of money, especially into the emerging markets. Okay, they're very cautious. They really don't want any of the single penny to go waste. And the second foremost thing I understood about the behaviors of the customers within the emerging markets are they're very very conservative. Okay, they really don't want any unknown person coming to their address. Okay, and if he or she is not at home and then interacting with their fellow homemates, part of it. So that's part of it. Yes.
Now, this is a very interesting question that we have is that you have led so many large engineering deliveries.
Yeah.
What do you believe is the single biggest reason that delivery timelines slip, even
Okay.
when you have everything set?
Okay. So it's not about budget. Okay. It's not about you have a well staffed team. It's not about you have a full fledged detailed plan. Every minute detail being captured for any release that you are doing. Now, despite having all this background work and the foundations of running a wonderful and a successful transformation program, you still see lot of lot of these are slipping in their delivery timelines. Okay, maybe few sprints goes well, right? 4 to 6 8 9th sprint you sell, right? अभी तक तो 35 36 आ रहा था, अब तो 28 भी नहीं आ रहा है. What to do, right? So that's and it's a very common scenario. Okay, it happens with any project. How foolproof planning do you do, right? You always land in such situation, and which we call it as unknowns. Okay, so that's very, you have that four square, right? Known, unknown, unknown, known, known, and then you have unknown. So we fall, sometimes very tricky and get trapped into the spider web of unknowns part of it. And then across all these challenges that goes in, so my major role has been, you know to really deep dive into the root cause of it, and see how we can bring whatever's gone off track to on track part of it. And then the biggest reason for this was not resources. Okay, now the reason which in major of this which I found is, we start a program, right? We forget to do the first element phase of any program, which is discovery. It is very important, right? Because that's how you understand an external system where you don't have any visibility or you don't have any knowledge of that. Okay, and that's where your initial 1 2 months you utilize to do the discovery part of it. And that's how you identify the hidden complexity in any sort of integration that exists. Okay, that's how you uh, you know bring out clear requirements against unclear requirements that has been given to you, right? Either from your upstreams, from downstreams, or even from your business stakeholders or the product owners. Okay, because and then other, I would say plug into this is your internal dependency as well as your external dependency. Okay, correct. You might be in a position, or might have full control over your internal dependency, right? But you don't have full control on the external dependencies. Okay,
Yes.
be it be outside your system, okay, or be it be outside your organizations. You must be using a third party product, right, which is integrating into your application or the product. So you don't have that over that. Okay, and make sure that you have put all these assumptions, all these unknowns as a part of your a part of your discovery, so that it keeps on validating it now and then. So we don't just document it but forget it out. Okay, the discovery is done, was done, let's do the kickoff, project kickoff, stakeholders coming in. Okay, fine sir, we'll start the sprint from sprint 0 tomorrow. We'll end it at 2 weeks. Sprint 1 is this feature, we'll do is this now, sprint demo part features. and what we have documented as an assumption, as a dependency, all lying into a place that nobody even cares to go and see it. Okay.
Yes.
And at the end, when you look at, अरे बॉस ये तो था assumption पर validate तो नहीं किया, अब तो ये फट गया, right? Let's what to do. So that's very important, right? And
Yes.
it always should be a whip, right? Work in progress for that. Now there is very, I would say, four fundamental steps, right, where you can always avoid such. I call it as mishappenings to happen.
Hmm.
Okay, do technical, business, and interdependency workshops before you even kick off your if your program or the project. Technical workshops will help you to understand what sort of architecture it is, what sort of tech stack it is required. If you're revamping an application, which would be the best tech stack to revamp that applications. The business workshop would help you to understand the domain knowledge behind that specific product and also align what the business is looking forward, right, in terms of creating a new product or revamping the existing products, and how they are the kind of expenditure they are looking forward, and what sort of value creation that are going to get, be it be revenue increase, be it be customer acquisition, okay, be it be anything which is internal to the org, making the employee journey seamless, making the customer journey seamless. Okay, um, implement early integration checkpoints, right, is very important. Checkpoints, 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 right? That's the only mantra. Every stage should have their own checkpoints, and don't move on to the next stage unless all your checkpoints are cleared, right? Be it be design checkpoints, build checkpoints, test checkpoints, unit testing checkpoints, CI/CD checkpoints, infrastructure checkpoints, data checkpoints, whatever it is. Okay, set up a risk delivery dashboards. Okay, for the real time visibility, and this risk delivery dashboard should be all outcome of your tech dashboard. Should be all outcome of your business dashboards that you create. Great. Now, when I talk about tech dashboards, is how your application is doing, performing. What is the CPU it is consuming, whether it is not doing a lot of database hits, right? All those stuff part of it. KPIs dashboard is in terms of what is the scale that you're seeing going on, number of orders being booked, right? If you're seeing a drop, number of customers visiting your page, number of customers moving to the next stage, number of customers moving to the final stage of your product selection and the payment side of, and all those part of it. Okay, and engage your business stakeholders. Okay, engage them right from the day zero till you are into the hypercare or the steady state part of it. Don't leave them. It's just like you do this, right?
Yes.
Well, hold their hand, even if they tell, oh, finish it up. No, you hold their hand. I'll not leave you, boss, right? Unless until you tell it's working absolutely fine, and unless until you tell me that this is what you expected, right? And this is how we are going to solve the customer problem. Okay.
Yes.
People sometimes miss out this. Okay. When you miss out this, right? So that's where the problem starts, occurring. Okay. So you have to be very close to your business stakeholders. Okay. You have to keep them abreast about a single minute problem that you have got. Don't hide anything, right? Because the moment you hide, it also starts creating, or it starts creeping a sense of distrust.
Yes.
Correct? The stakeholders, business stakeholders are very sensitive, right? Now they're sensitive because they love their product, and they're running a business, right, which is bringing revenue for that organization.
Yes.
Right. After all, see, at the end of the day, it's all bread and butter for everyone. So that's their livelihood. We cannot move out from that fact. So that's how. But overall, what I've seen is delivery slips does not happen because you don't have resources, right?
Yes.
Delivery slips happens when there is misalignment. Delivery slips happens when uh, I would say critical and clarity tag. I always give it as tag, right? The lag behind, I'd say, seeing and planning. Okay, whatever strong plan you have, right? But if you're not aligned and you don't have the clarity, then you can't do anything. So it's always good to have early validation bits rather than late night or late stage firefighting mode. Now bring the damkal, everything is on fire. Now I want the fire to be off. And then that also, customer, like, hey, so much of noise. Can you can you very quick fix? Just to stop the bloodbath that is going on. But correct. And then there's a very, very, very genuine and a very real time scenario that we always face it out. But in sequence of all these events, right? We forgot our fundamental routing of where we really went wrong, and that is where we need to really deep dive and dig more to make that foundation very very strong.
Now we'll kind of move into the team, team building and that thing. And since you have led team across geographies,
Yeah.
so what is the most difficult leadership challenge that you face when you are managing a globally distributed team?
Okay. Okay. So I think the most, it's again a very tricky question, right? And every team has a different composition, right? They have a different culture. They have a, I would say, a different mindset. Okay. Different learning curve. Okay. Some are super speed, right? First, some have medium speed, some have a lower speed. But it's very good to have a balanced team composition across geographies when you're working across geographies, and you have to make sure that you know you are synthesized enough to understand their culture. Okay, you deal with your team members with empathy. It's never a bossy nature. Okay, so if you sit with your team with a wipe in your hand and you keep on cracking, you will not get anything out of that boss, I'm telling you. Correct. So that's a very hard truth of today's generation, what we call it as Gen Zs. Okay, so Gen Zs, you can be polite, quiet, then you can have a lot of work done. But if you keep on cracking whips, it will not happen. Okay. Now, for success of for this distributed teams, okay, right? As I said, is very important to be open, transparent, cultivate the same culture within your team. Have that faith that you as a leader will take care of the entire team, right? And you are the face off for anything that goes wrong. So you're the shielder of your entire team. You're the protector of that, and that gives them, I say, an atmosphere of confidence and an atmosphere of being fearless, right, in terms of executing, as well as an atmosphere of being fear and bringing to you what is gone wrong or something is not working out for them or there has been conflicts or whatever it is, whatever comes in. So when I talk about distributed leadership, okay, you might have heard distributed team, but I always call it as a distributed leadership. So distributed leadership isn't just about managing different time zones. Okay, so you're sitting in India, but you're managing US, UK, Singapore, Dubai, Middle East, ASEAN, whatever it is, right? It's about bridging the cultural assumptions within these different time zones and creating a very, I would say, a solidified and a structured communication framework, right? Which is acceptable, right? As well as, acceptable and comfortable to each of these time zone teams, right? Now, I have been working out into different time zones, US, UK, then into North America side of it, into Poland side of it. So I ensure that we keep on shuffling, right? Sometimes we have meetings which is into the US time zone. Sometimes we have meetings which is into the Poland time zone. Sometimes we have meeting into the Indian time zone. So that's how we collaborate and calibrate ourselves, rebalance ourselves in term. Nobody feels at that point, that you are giving preference to a specific time zone or specific people. That brings a lot of churn within your team. So that's how I always manage. Take care of your team. I mean, that's very, very important. Irrespective of your delivery, right? Absolutely clear. Take care of your team. Their personal growth, their professional growth. It's not just about work, 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 work. Never, right? Provide them an atmosphere where they're able to work, but at the same time have fun, right? Give them the opportunities to scale themselves. Give them the opportunities to have them failed at one stage. Unless and until they fail, they're not going to learn. सब कुछ पका पकाया खिचड़ी जैसा मिल जाएगा तो Nobody will understand, what portion of rice and what portion of dal you have to take to make that, to get that taste, right? So that's very important, right? And I purposely make my team members fail at one point of time, so that they learn from their failures, and then they understand how they need to approach to a specific problem and do that. So that has been the part of it. Okay, so do cultural, I would say, sanitization sessions within the team, then do an offsite where you call all of the teams together, right? That's a very I think test and tried method of bringing out that collaboration and cohesiveness within each of the team members.
This is also very well explained. I've seen very less engineering leaders talk so beautifully on building team.
Gone through, let me tell you, right? I've gone through each of these phases, okay? Each of these phases. So whatever I'm speaking about are all based out of my practical experience. And I have got beatings like you get in a school, you used to get in a school. Okay. And still next day I have went to my SVP and a director with a smiling face. You know what they tell? Yesterday was not good for you, right? Yesterday was not good for you. Yes, it was definitely not good. I didn't expected that tensed atmosphere, but I have taken that back, and today I'm sitting in front of you to, with a smiling face. That's okay. That's part and parcel of your life, right? Sometimes you come flying, sometimes you don't fly. So that's how the life runs. That's how the projects also run. So they'll keep on be silent for a few seconds, and they'll do a smile, give a smile, and then say, "What's for today?" And then I tell, "Today is quite sorted. Don't worry about that. It's not going to happen like yesterday." So that's has been the kind of thing. It's always see the only, and why I'm able to do this is because even a single minor issue that I face with a customer, correct? I keep them abreast about what is going wrong. It'd be very simple minor issue. I'll give you live example. Day before yesterday, I handle one of the largest airline technology domain customer based out of North America. And the customer was like, we are going on a year-end break, right? So, boss, we cannot allow people to work. I said, okay, that's fine. And I had a very hard meeting with the product owner that I'm not there. Who's going to guide them? That's fine. You're not there, right? But we have our own, tech BAs who are sitting and have knowledge of the system, right? No, 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 no. Please don't do that. I said to him, see, whether you want to go for leave, you're absolutely, that's everyone's side, right? These are the set of features I'm taking in the year end break because I don't want people to sit idle. And then he was like, you're just overriding me. Listen to me what I'm telling. Meaning I'm not overriding you, right? I'm trying to, do something which will ease your life once you're back from a vacation.
Yes.
Right? And the moment I finished this call, I knew that he's going to escalate. He's an escalation man. So even if I do a small sneeze, he'll go and escalate. Okay. So the moment I was closing the call, last few seconds, I parallelly pinged my boss. I told boss, this has happened. This is going to come to you. Okay. And this is the background. And then he said, okay, that's fine. You handle it at your end. Let it come. I'll handle it at my end. Thanks for letting me know. So you should keep your leadership or your top player informed about if something has gone wrong, because that should not catch him or her as a surprise from a customer and put him in a situation where he is not able to defend you or he's not able to defend the organization from his perspective. Okay, so that's very important. Yes.
And now at the end of the podcast, we have the most interesting question.
That's what the Pandora's box being open.
Yes.
Okay.
Now with all this AI automation coming in, what do you believe will be the hardest challenges for the next generation of engineering leaders?
Isn't that too complex to ask me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. See, past 21 years, right? I have seen technology landscape being changed a lot, right? If we talk about 15 years, 16 years back, it was all about Java mainframes. Do people really cared about resilience? Do people really cared about application being faster? Do really people care? No, right? I have a written piece of code. I have A to B to go. I'll go only A to B. I cannot go B to C. correct? I cannot explore that option because I don't want, where our systems are running, where people are convenient. I don't want a new system to bang on their head and feel uncomfortable about it, right? But over a period of time, with the customer behavior changing, okay, and the technology, landscape changing, people really thought about changing their mindset. Okay, it was all about survival, correct, into the current marketplace, right, with competitors coming in with more valuable, more faster, reliable, and viable products to offer, right, than having organizations which were running legacy products for years and many years, right, but is still surviving on the market part of it. Now, in all this changes, whether it is AI coming in or automation coming in, it's all about how engineering organizations operate, right? It's all about how they create a technology framework which they can adopt to easily and which brings out value to those frameworks that they build and adopt. Okay. I think, in the next generation leaders that's going to come, right? It will be less of coding, okay, and they're not going to face any challenges in coding. You have Gemini, you have ChatGPT will help you out, correct? It will be more about, orchestrating complexity at the scale. It will be not about, selecting a tech stack because you have the latest tech stack, but it's all about how you create your systems a scalable part of it. I think the hardest challenge for any leader in the current scenario, as well as for the leaders coming in future, in my view, will be balancing speed and ethics. Is very crucial. Bring innovation in a fast-paced environment, ensuring fairness in that delivery, security, and I would say responsible AI usage. Okay. Now I don't know if you happen, but I was reading Washington News few days last month. Okay, and you just look at a guy, correct, who was using a Chat GPT. Okay, he was trying to give the prompts. Okay, he was under depression, trying to give the prompts and trying to get the answer out of GPT, how to come out of those depressions. And that's where I call is fair usage, fair, ethical, sensible usage of the AI. The answers that ChatGPT or any of the AI tool that he was using gave, right, I started pulling him into more of the depression side of it. Right, the kind of answers he was getting. And what ultimately happened, and he has been doing that for the last 2 to 3 days. And the fourth day he committed suicide. And you'll feel a lot of cases within this US region coming out of this chat GPT. So AI has its own advantages, but it has its own disadvantages. It is advantageous when you use it sensibly, right? It is more dangerous than a venomous, snake biting you if you don't use it cautiously. I have practically seen my application gone down, correct, broken up with blindly closing an eye, copy pasting a piece of code from a chat GPT into production. Okay. So that's one thing. And the another, you know, big challenge is keeping teams motivated and relevant in today's world. People get demotivated very soon. Okay. Yes. You have 5 members. If you don't call one to the lunch, the Yes. second day they'll tell Abhishek, you didn't call me to yesterday, right? Yes. All right. So that's kind of they do, right, and it's all valid as well, right? See, every personality is a different personality, correct, and you as a leader has to ensure that you balance that out into your team for a smoother execution and for a better team environment altogether. So in my own leadership journey, okay, I have started teams preparation. Okay, so I always do I've started investing in their continuous learning, okay, which is very important, right? Both from a technology perspective, from a soft skill perspective, from a business domain perspective. Okay, I have created adaptive cultures, which means um, you know you allow them to do experiments. You do allow them to I would say build and fail. Yes. Correct, but at the same time you have that guardrails implemented right in your own ecosystem. Correct. So that's very important. The guardrails are very, 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 very crucial. Right. You should have it. Okay. Building resilience. Now you value the engineers, just beyond code, right? Don't take them as a machine of coding language. Okay. Set on the laptop. Okay. Python read file. Take for loop, while loop. Okay. Done. Finish. No, don't take them as that. So that's how you build resilience. And that's how bring out problem solving skills, right? And product thinking out of an individual. Okay. Now in all these processes, Rishi, right, what really worries me, and it has been worrying me for quite long, is skill, I would say, obsolescence. Okay. Which means engineers who really code, they struggle to adapt to the newer technologies, or people something say, "No, yeah, ठीक है, Java, Java ही करना है, Java ही करना है, Java ही करना है." I don't want to do Python. No, 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 sir. Please don't tell me to ask to do Python. I'm not comfortable. I'm doing Java for 8 years. I'll give me something which isn't Java, right? I'll do. But right, if you want to scale, you have need to step out of your comfort zone, right? So that's the one thing. Ethical blind spots. Okay, that's very important. Okay, don't oversight anything. Keep a very close eye on each and everything. So you never know when this blind spots turns out to be dangerous for you. But you cannot control all of them in all way, right? But that's one of the worry thing part of it. And what's most excites me nowadays is demonetization of the news, right? You heard about, right? So I call it as democratization of innovation. Okay. So small teams don't create large pots of team. Okay, create small scalable teams. Okay, who can build global products, right? Who can think out of box, right? Can do brainstorming rather than creating 100 people team where 90 of them are fighting among themselves, 10 are still struggling to understand for what they are fighting for. Right, rather than having their own creative mind, putting in something which is think out of the box and create it out of, and focus on creativity and impact. Okay, so I think we leaders, as me as a leader, I spent less time on plumbing and more time on finding solutions for the problems. Okay, doing the root cause analysis and see how we can really learn from those and prevent those going forward. So the future will reward, I think, leaders who combined technical depth, ethical judgment, which is very important, right? And skipping all this technology and all these things, the third important thing is the cultural empathy. Okay, not just those who can is not will not have leaders who can just ship features into production, right? You'll be looked at from a 360-degree angle view. Okay? Like you give a 360-degree feedback for any of those things. That's how you'll be looked out, right? So you have to wear multiple hats, right? I have done so. I have even sit with a GT resource, which is bootcamper, which you get it from the college,
Yes.
to make him understand how the system works. And then I have also got lessons from him. Okay. So and I'll tell you the statement. One of the boot campers, in my recent experience, tell me, yeah, I was telling him when I ran one of the processes. Then he just paused for a moment, looked at me like this. "Do you still follow this?" I told him, "Boss, yes, we do, and it is a proven mechanism. This is very old, right? You use this, right? I think you will be more benefited, and that's how you learn, right? Sometimes people teach you a lesson, so take that lesson as an positive, incoming call to your headset, which is your brain, right? Rather than thinking that, hey, you are just a get resource, right? Come on, get out of my way. Just go and get this what I'm telling you to do, correct? And then come over 4 to 5 years to me to teach me what I really want to be. So that's be receptive of the feedbacks, right? Then being aggressively pushing out which you think from your perspective you think is not the right way, which you think this is not acceptable to me because I don't want to accept it out at the end. So that's me of it. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Abhishek, for sharing all these insights.
No worries at all. I think we have overrun by 20 minutes.
But this was very insightful conversation, and again thankful that you shared your experiences and
No
insights.
worries
And
at
the
all.
best part was that this was not theoretical. This was completely coming out of the experiences
Yeah,
you have.
it's excellent.
And thanks for taking all these live use cases, because this is really going to be helpful. We
Yeah.
will create small video snippets and we'll keep
Okay.
on putting it on social media.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Abhishek.
Sure. Thank you so much and have a lovely day. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your entire family. Right? Wish you a lovely holiday.
Same
Okay.
to you, Abhishek.
Take care.